So in this video I'll be talking about how the Profitability Operating System actually works and how your planning, execution, results and all connect. So this is just some of my realities of hospitality that I see. So hospitality is not managed monthly. You don't think about hospitality on a monthly basis. You're making decisions made daily and everything is thought of and performance is thought of in a week. So profit, the way I look at it and the way I report it, it's realised over a 4 to 5 week period. It's not on a calendar month. So I feel this is how systems and the venues that I own run this way, and the venues that I work with run this way. The system matches how our venues actually operate. So this is where I bring in the Profitability Matrix, and this is how I connect it on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. So it's one matrix and it's one logic. We're looking at these consistent group of numbers on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. Sales, cost of goods sold, wages, variable overheads or overheads, rent, and then you get to operating profit at the end. We use this consistently across all reports, whether it be the forecast, the profitability report, or the monthly P&L. It's all consistent. We're looking at these 6 numbers consistently because that gives us the best view about how the venue is actually going on a day, week and monthly basis, or 4 to 5 weeks if we're talking. But when I use month, I always talk that's 4 or 5 weeks depending on the reporting cycle. So to me, when you look at the forecast report, it's about planning and execution. So orange, when you look at a forecast report, you'll see orange cells, that's your plan. Blue is how you execute it. So it sets the expectation before the week starts. So forecasting works at 2 levels. They're the daily sales and in wages, which you input and which are there for you and there. And then there's a weekly roll-up. So it tells you how you're going for the whole week, and based where you with your forecast, you can actually, on a daily basis, still update numbers and see how the week's shaping up based on, what you thought versus what's changed versus what you got coming in the future. You'll get that one picture, every day. You can see how you're going. So if you have a bad day, you'll see what that impact that it has. Perhaps that means you need to improve later in the week, or you've had a good day, so you can see the benefit of that. So the decisions you made around whether you cut wages or you increase wages, were they correct? You see that on a daily basis. That's where behaviour is shaped, and that's the behaviours you can mould using that report. So the forecasting reports, it predicts profit in advance. It changes based on day-to-day behaviour. You get your sales from the forecast. You get your wages from the forecast. COGS use reliable data, so you'd use some sort of year-to-date or where you believe COGS are, because they don't generally change on average a lot. They stay quite consistent unless you've made some changes such as price rises or you've got some great deal from suppliers. But if that happens, then you can change the COGS prediction as well. Variable overhead comes from known average. It does stay fairly consistent, such as your electricity, gas, and so on. They're all consistent when you group them together over time. You'll have a number per week, which it roughly is, and rent is always fixed and actual. You have a lease, so it doesn't change unless you and then when it does change, you know when it changes because it's based on a market review, or it's based on inflation. Something is saying that in your lease is saying that rent should go up. So the forecasting report is step 1, then profitability report is step 2. It's an interim result. It's weekly focused. It measures execution against the plan and it compares the budget to averages. So the profitability report is a course correction point. What that means is it confirms, it has more of a confirmation of the results you were seeing in the forecast report. It's based on more real data, so it'll be based on the wages actually paid, not what you thought is going to be paid. It'll be likely have a calculated COGS number. It'll use the same rent and variable overhead because those 2 numbers are consistent all the way through until you get a final number in the profit and loss report. It'll tell you about whether margins are off track, and it's also looks at a more of a longer term trend. So it'll look at an 8-week trend, so you can see that trend, and you can use that information to adjust your future forecast. Whether you're doing, whether things are going as you thought or whether things are a bit off track, you can use that knowledge and that information in your future forecasts. So with these reports, with our monthly reports, we use a Sunday month end. Hospitality trades in weeks, not calendar months. That's my view. You don't think that way. We don't all of a sudden close on a Tuesday so that we can do a stock take and reopen Wednesday. It just doesn't work that way. It's all about Sundays. We make decisions based on Sundays. Payroll is generally paid based on a Sunday weekend, so on and so on. All these things are around Sundays and weeks, and Monday to Sunday weeks. So rosters generally run weekly. Stock is managed weekly, such as what I mentioned, stock takes. If you have events, you think about them weekly, and it protects decision integrity. So it makes sure that when you're making decisions about a week, it'll line up to when you come to a month end. So all these reports, they simply connect through that. When you look at them, it's the forecast profitability report to the the forecast report to the profitability report to the profit and loss report. So they all connect. The forecast sets the intent. The weekly report manages your behaviour and modifies it through in the month, and the P&L confirms the result. And each of these are all driven by the profitability matrix. It's the commonality all through these reports, so that you can you're always looking at consistent numbers and having a consistent viewpoint. So what I consider profit's not generally driven by big one-off decisions. It's driven by daily decisions, weekly adjustments, weekly discipline, small actions, and repeated consistency. And these create big profitability outcomes. The way I see it is inputs such as wages, sales, and so on. And decisions around those. They're the inputs. Those small inputs matter, and they lead to big outcomes, which is the profit that we want. So just in summary, if you're looking at all the way these reports work together, forecast first, profitability report second, monthly P&L last. Each one connected by the profitability matrix, each one driving different decisions. But if you're looking in the terms of PERI, your plan is the forecast report, your execution is also the forecast report, your results are driven by your profitability report and your P&L. However, in each case, you can improve on any of those reports. So they each have that cycle built within them so that you can use numbers to improve and to guide you through the profitability process.